Make sure you stick around until the end to see how you can win free gear and products. Hey, this is PJ with CLK Supplies, and I'm really excited to introduce you to Lori and Morgan from Abus USA. Now, Abus has been around for a really long time, and I'm excited to learn some more information about them, as well as I have a whole bunch of questions about the 83 series padlocks that I'm hoping to get answered. I hope you enjoy the conversation. Welcome to another special edition we're doing here. Now, this is going to be on the podcast as well as here live on YouTube. So I have both Lori and Morgan with us from Abus. Guys, thank you very much for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's something, Abus has such a great reputation in the industry and has, some of the backbone products in the industry as well. And so I'm really excited to put a couple faces to Abus and kind of dig into a little bit of history and everything. But before I get started, I just want to have, if both of you could kind of just briefly introduce yourselves and kind of catch us up to speed.
Sure. I'll go first. I'm Lori Smith. I manage the inside sales customer service team at Abus USA. We're based out of Phoenix, Arizona. So it's a nice stifling, 102 today here in Phoenix. Pretty warm, although you wouldn't know it by the sweater I have on. But yeah, we have a full-on order entry team, inside sales team that I manage. I've been here almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years in August. And yeah, I partner well with the operations team to make sure that we get the orders shipped out on time and get the production process going.
Awesome.
And my name is Morgan Lewis. I'm an outside sales representative for Abus. I'm actually the one and only full factory guy with Abus. I cover all of Southern California, basically Santa Barbara down, Southern Nevada, and all of Arizona. So I've been with Abus going on 3 years now, but I've dealt with Abus for over 20 in the field, as well as being a manufacturer's rep for them.
Okay, yeah, and Morgan, and you started off as a locksmith, right? And you've kind of you've worked at a distributor, and you've kind of went through all the ranks.
Correct. Yeah, I started as a locksmith. Worked in the van, worked in shops. From there, I went to the distribution side of the business, dealing with all those different shops and end users and facilities. Then from there, I went to the access control CCTV side. And when an opening became available for an outside sales rep, an independent, I took that after leaving the access control side. In that first independent rep area, we had Abus as one of our products in our line card. So it was one of those products that was easy to sell because of my extensive experience with it in the field. And then after that, this position became available, full factory, working closely with the people at the factory and in product development, product management, those kind of things. It was an easy transition for me to come here.
Okay, awesome. Well, hey, it's really nice to have, see people in the industry in different roles and what that looks like. I'm sure, a story for another day, but I'm sure it'd be really interesting to see, for you to talk about all the different aspects of what that looks like. But all right. So, I want to start off. So I was looking it up, and Abus was started in 1924. Is that correct?
That is correct. We're about to celebrate our 100th anniversary.
Yeah, just a couple years away from 100 years. Yep. And when Abus started, did it start as a padlock, like we're going to go into the padlock business, or was it like just locks, or what exactly was the main purpose behind starting the business?
Yeah. So interestingly enough, it was was and is still a family-owned business, which I think still shocks people quite a bit. Augustus Bremiker was the founding creator of the original padlock, and it was designed specifically for security purposes. ABUS, I'm not sure if you know this or not, kind of little fun fact here, but ABUS is an acronym. It's very common for German companies to use acronyms, like Haribo, right? The gummy bear company is an acronym, and ABUS is an acronym. So the acronym stands for Augustus Bremiker und, which is and in German, Sons. And interestingly enough, up until probably this past year, maybe year and a half at this point, our CEO here in the US market was actually a Bremiker. He was a fifth generation grandson to the original father, which was kind of cool. So, you know, it's something to be said, especially in this day and age, right? With everybody kind of selling out to private equity groups and you know, whatnot. That it is still a family-owned company, and they still take a lot of pride in their product, and they take a lot of pride in the company at hand. Christian Bremiker, who is our CEO globally, it was actually Johannes Bremiker, our CEO's, he's his uncle, you know, prior COVID, right? Was very adamant about always visiting all of the branches, all of the locations, and twice a year would visit the US market as well. In addition to, he's always, you know, on point with sending emails to us here as a team. I mean, again, it's that pride factor. Something else that I think people may or may not know about the company as a whole is, you know, we've got factories, right? We've got quite a few factories in Germany. Different factories specialize in different products. You know, keeping in mind that ABUS doesn't just sell security and safety padlocks. That's what we focus on here in the US market, but actually they're very well known for their door hardware, right? And window hardware across the country, and security products, right? And what most people don't realize, and I know this maybe sounds, I was going to say cliche, is that even our factories in China are Germany based. So I always tell people that if you went into a factory in China and you went into one of our factories in Germany, they look exactly the same. The one big difference is in Germany, you have a bunch of Germans running around, and in China, you have a bunch of Asians running around, right? But they follow the same process. They follow the same production guidelines. You know, it's a government mandate that in China, they have to own, the Chinese have to own 51% of the factory, but ABUS owns the remainder of it. And again, they follow the protocol. The factories that we have in China, they too are like family, right? I mean, they have been with us from the beginning and partner with us so that we get that same. So it doesn't matter if it comes out of that factory or it comes out of a factory in Germany, it's exactly the same product. It's run exactly on the same assembly line. It's just a matter of who's putting it together, which I think is interesting, right? Because that isn't the case in most situations. You know, again, I just to do a comparison, we often tell customers that globally, ABUS is as big as our main competitor, right, Master Lock. It's just that here in the US market, we're very small in comparison to them. But what that means to the customer, or that means to that locksmith, is that you know that you've got a competitive advantage with pricing and product selection. The bigger difference for us is that because we are smaller here, I feel like we're a lot more nimble, right? So that when somebody needs us to help them with a large project that needs to be key to like to something or has to be more customized, engraved or something, we're able to turn that really quickly, right? I mean, Morgan probably can attest to this even more than I do, or I can, but you know, with our competitor, oftentimes what's a big project to, you know, one of our distributors or even one of your customers is a very small project to them, and it won't get the same high level of of detail or focus that it would get from us, right? Because it's a big project to us. I mean, most projects that come through here, I would say, what, Morgan, probably on average are between $3,000 to $5,000. And again, for our competitor, that's a drop in the bucket, right? That's nothing. That's going to be lost in the shuffle of things. But for us, that's a big deal. So
definitely. Definitely, like Lori was saying, it makes ABIS USA a lot more nimble inside the big realm of security, because we're able to help the customers out with different ideas or customization, and our speed to market is probably one of the biggest benefits that we have. Me, as far as dealing with other end users or distributors, we always hear about that lead times, and not being as quick as customers need it. When it comes to a lockout, tagout, or security issue, and let's say they got dinged by OSHA or someone like that who has the capability to shut things down completely, make all the employees go home, shut the facility, the factory down, unless they get these products in a timely fashion. A lot of the times, ABIS is able to meet those requirements that OSHA demands on their customers to keep those factories open or not cause the shutdown to last as long. So the agility of ABIS is very unique, and it's very different from a lot of the other manufacturers that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I did not realize that ABIS was a family-owned business, and to be at the size it is and having the family members in it, that's absolutely amazing to, you don't see too many of those in 2021, right? So many, by the time they even get close to the size of ABIS, have sold out, right? But to have ABIS in it and doing it, and the philosophy behind, the plants in other countries outside of Germany, and as you were describing, right, you could tell it's like, hey, all of these different branches are truly a part of the ABIS family, and not just like some factory somewhere that needs to pump out a bunch of stuff as, cheap as possible, or, whatever. So it's really, really cool to hear that. And I didn't realize that ABIS is as large, as it is globally. I mean, that's truly amazing. Now, I want to sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, how, again, our competitor is heavy into the retail end of it, right? Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart's. Well, in Germany or in the European market, ABIS is there. ABIS is in the DIY stores and, the hardware stores over there. So again, it's kind of flipped, right? I mean, where we're small here, we're very large globally, which is a huge benefit. Sorry. Yeah,
that is very interesting. That's very interesting. That's how it goes. And, something I just have to point out, I think it's interesting, both you guys and ABIS and Master were both started in the 1920s. There must have been something in the air in the 20s that made padlock companies, stick around for 100 years. But that's really interesting. Now, you guys have a whole big variety of products, Lori, like you were talking about earlier, but I really want to focus down, right? I mean, you guys have, residential, commercial, the safety lockout, all of that, but I really want to focus on commercial. And I really want to, first of all, I want to bring up the file cabinet bars, right? In my opinion, ABIS has the best file cabinet bar out there. And I didn't realize it years ago before we started selling them, how many businesses want and or need file cabinet bars to lock up their file cabinets. I was just always kind of under the assumption it's like, hey, most of them have a little lock on the top, no big deal, but people don't want that. They want an actual bar bolted onto their file cabinet that can be secured with a padlock. And that's just how they want them. And so, anyone who's watching this, if you aren't familiar with those, or you haven't been trying to sell those to your customers, it's a absolutely great thing to add as a service. Yeah. But so I think those are great, but I really want to dive into the 8345 padlock. this padlock, I mean, I think, without a shadow of a doubt, it is by far the most popular rekeyable padlock in the country, right? Hands down. And not only that, it has a great reputation along with it. So I'm kind of curious, like at what point, like when exactly did Avis come out with this padlock? And did they think it was going to be such a hit that it is today?
Yeah, so interesting. Go ahead, Morgan.
You got this too. Either way, like Lori was saying. Interestingly enough, we got some information from our counterpart over in Germany, who, in Avis's world, they call him the Pope of padlocks, because he's had such an extensive role inside Avis with engineering new things or developing new products, that kind of stuff. But he sent an email with some helpful hints and some interesting facts that even we didn't know, Lori and I, until we kind of read up on them. But there used to be two series that Avis had. It was the 80 and the 81. And then one of the gentlemen that worked for Avis took home both of those, basically tinkered around in his garage after he was done working for the company, and developed now what is the 83 series. Taking parts of the 81 and the 82 and then putting them together to utilize the Z-bar and those kind of elements of the other padlocks that are out there into the 83. So, and that was done in about 1990, 1991. So it's been around for quite a long time. The 83 series started, back then. So, Lori, you got other things?
No, I was just going to say, but yeah, so the 8345, this is timely, PJ, because it's celebrating its 30th anniversary this year, which is amazing. And, as you noted earlier, that, it's gone through a couple of different series, right? A couple of different changes. I think the Series 2 has been around, Morgan, for about 4 years now? I want to say.
It's been around. It's been around longer than that. I want to say close to about 12, 13, somewhere around there, that neighborhood, if not a little bit longer. But the big difference is, and even when I go out to see customers, I still run into the Series 1 locks that are still hanging on a gate or a fence or in a facility, and they still work like a champ. Some of the different things that a lot of people don't know externally outside of Avis, the Series 1 was basically just one way. Like, it came with a cylinder. You couldn't modify it. You couldn't do anything different to it. It came with what it came with. You could rekey it. But Avis came out with a different version, the Series 2, to allow it to be more adaptable. So instead of carrying multiple SKUs and multiple different padlocks, we could have the same padlock inside of one and combine all of them. So before, the Series 1 never was able to take a key and knob cylinder with the Bible cover, those kind of things. The Series 2 incorporated that with a standard cylinder, so both of them were able to work in the same padlock. So if customers currently have a Series 2 padlock, and let's say they had a regular Avis 300 cylinder, which is the most popular one out there, they could take that cylinder out, use a K&K with a Bible cover, and put that back into the same padlock and go right about their day. So if they were utilizing an aftermarket restricted key or a high security key, they could basically make those changes on the fly just with a couple of extra parts. And now they have a K&K padlock, whereas before the Series 1, they would have to take that one off, kind of set it to the side, then buy a K&K padlock to go along with that. So now they'd have two padlocks instead of the new Series 2 with just having one. So it's a little bit different.
Okay. So
just adaptability.
Just to make sure I understand. So the Series 1 and the Series 2, and just for anyone who's watching this, like if you ever notice on the part numbers, and you'll see it on the boxes and printed materials, you'll see a little S2, and what that means is it's the Series 2 padlocks. But as what you're saying is a Series 1. So one of the best parts about these Series 2 is that, like, you're right. I mean, you could buy a 8345 300 Schlage Series padlock, take out that core, buy a key and knob kit, take a GMS K001 cylinder for quickset, and you can put it into that lock. Because what you're saying is that the Series 1 did not have that capability.
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. Very interesting. I've always wondered that. I just learned something. I love it.
And what's really interesting is on the front of the padlocks, when you buy a padlock and it says the series down below on the face of it, the 2 is actually the same imprint of the Z-bar that actually comes in the padlock that we use for key retention or non-key retention. So it looks like a 2 already, but they just actually use that as the number 2 on the logo of the front of the padlock. So
interesting. I'll have to go check that out. I'll have to go pull one and look at that. I did not know that. That's cool. That's really cool. So, I'm curious, so the 8345 is very popular here in the States. Is the 8345 for ABUS, is it like a worldwide bestseller, or is it really something that the United States likes more?
They use it everywhere. It's popular in all of the different countries that we work and play in as far as ABUS goes. There are multiple keyways that we have here in the U.S. from Yale, Kwikset, Schlage, to the Everest, C123 keyway, Corbin, Sargent. We do some composite keyways as well that take multiple different, like the Schlage see-through L keyway that we have.
Yep.
But over in Australia, they have a different keyway altogether that's their popular one, kind of like our Kwikset. The most popular keyway in the USA is Kwikset. They have one that's specific to Australia that Australia only sells. Mexico might have one specifically to Mexico that they sell. So it just depends on which country it's in, but it has so many different cylinder varieties that are out there. We even have an ABUS 888 keyway that's basically our own that we use for specific things externally if a customer wants something that's unique and not a lot of people have. But we've also run into situations. I ran into a customer in California that actually moved from Australia to the U.S., brought his ABUS padlocks with him that he had on his fencing and his gate in Australia. And he called and said, "Hey, can I get more of these keys?" Because he had went to a local locksmith and they're like, "We don't do those keys here. You're going to have to go back to the manufacturer." So I was able to contact Australia to get keys sent out to this customer so he could still use the same cylinders and same padlocks that he's had forever in Australia. So we all work together, and it just depends on what's out there in the market and what we can do as a team here to help other countries. We work really closely with Canada. We do a lot of stuff with them and that branch up there, as well as Latin America. So we're just one giant team across the globe.
Wow. Yeah. So that's, the fact that ABUS has been able to take that 183 series housing and literally make it compatible with any market on the globe is really awesome. It's really awesome. Now, as time went on, so it first came out as a brass padlock, right? A brass bodied padlock. And then as time went on, you guys ABUS introduced the aluminum series, and then they introduced you're gonna have to help me with the term again, Titanium. Okay.
Titanium Man. He looks like the Silver Surfer.
The Silver Surfer. Titanium.
That's our Titanium Man.
Okay, the Titanium.
Basically in the 83, we do that. Titanium is our aluminum alloy. Basically, it's just a mix of a bunch of different metals to make it stronger and more secure than just aluminum. Obviously, aluminum is very lightweight. Inside of a facility, you don't necessarily have to have that big beefy security padlock. So that aluminum side is good for the lockout tagout side of the world, where we use them inside facilities to lock out electrical panels or equipment or machines. So you don't really need that high security solid brass or steel body inside a facility. You're more going to use those in weather element areas or outside facilities on gates and perimeter fencing.
We also, oh my gosh, daily, Morgan probably would agree with me. We get requests for people wanting to convert from our competitors' locks to our locks, but they don't want to change keys, right? So they want us to be able to key into the same lock they have. We do this on the security side of the house, but we also do it on the safety side of the house. And oftentimes that 83AL is what they'll want us to key into, maybe because they've got a restricted keyway, or they've got a very specific keyway that isn't easily duplicated, right? And yep. we have, I'd say probably 99.9% success in keying into it, which is hugely helpful to these customers because, again, they may want to switch to our lock, but at the same time, they may have 3,000 locks or 30,000 locks out there in the field that as they start to wear and have to be transitioned, they want to now put an ABIS lock in, but they they have to be able to key to it, right? And again, that 83AL is a perfect opportunity to do that.
Absolutely.
And we have those. Yeah, we have those here in the U.S. Like Lori was saying, that 83AL takes that same standard 8345 cylinder that we're all familiar with, but we also add a couple more into the mix. The M1 keyway is available. The AM3 keyway is available. And those are highly popular when it comes to the safety side of the business, as well as industrial side of the business. So having those options available makes it an easy conversion for some of those customers that are dealing with the lead time or the lack of product, or maybe we come in and show them that this product is better than that product. So it gives a lot more opportunity for us to be able to be more adaptable, I feel.
Okay. Sure. Now, something I'm curious about on the inside of these padlocks, right? So the outside, the body of it is either brass, aluminum, or
titanium.
Titanium. Oh my gosh. I'm going to try to avoid saying that the rest of this time. So are the internal components different on all of them, or are all the internal components, the same? It's just the body is actually different.
All the internal components are identical. If you go from the 83AL40, which is the aluminum, 40 millimeter wide, to the AL40 brass, it's the same exact components internally inside the lock. It's just a different body itself. And then as you start to progressively get bigger with some of the padlocks, we have the 50, the 55, all the way up to the 80 millimeter. The rock is what we call it, the big boy. Lori's got one right there on her desk, I think I saw this morning. Yeah. So that one has the same exact parts in it. They're just bigger, obviously, because it's the bigger padlock. But that same padlock that Lori has takes the same cylinder that the 8340 millimeter body has. So a padlock half that size or half that width will take the same cylinder, but the components inside are just made bigger to stand up for the bigger shackle diameter that's on there and those kind of things.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So someone who's looking at maybe a lot of people are comfortable with the brass 8345 series or 83 series padlocks. For them to get one that was, aluminum, they're getting the same lock. It's just the outside body is what's different. It's made out of different material. Is that a true statement?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah.
Shackles, the shackles that we substitute are the same. They just are, different based on the size of the body, right? The
yes.
40 versus the 50. So, yeah.
Very interesting. That's a lot of great information you two have packed in here, and I'm really thankful to have you on. Now, I have kind of one last question that I'm just kind of curious about. And that is is there a really, really popular or good product that people just getting familiar with ABUS may not realize that you guys have or sell. I mean, so much press, even, as we're talking about ABUS today, like we were spending a lot of time on that 83 series padlock, but you guys have all sorts of great products like the file cabinet bars. But I'm really curious, is there another product that you think that if people knew about, they would love just as much as like the 83 series?
From my standpoint, I'm always hearing customers say, "Hey, I didn't know about that," or those kind of things. But when it comes to outside, I think one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't realize is how much we do in chain. So the chain we have is square. It's not round. It's not sold at your local big box store, anything like that. Our chain is a tremendous savings for customers that get broken into a lot, or facilities that get attacked, those kind of things. Or if you're just securing up some bikes or motorcycles or something like that. I have taken our smallest chain, which is our 6KS, smallest diameter, which is a 1/4 inch, into some of the big institutions that use the box store brand, or where they purchase their regular, monthly supply of stuff from. And put them up right next to each other with a 4-foot pair of bolt cutters. And I have yet, in 3 years since I've been working directly for ABUS, have yet to see anybody with bolt cutters get through our chain. If anything, they leave maybe a little mark on the chain, but they've never been able to get it. So the only way really you can get through our chain is from a grinder, per se, with a grinding wheel on it. I mean, that's how we cut it in-house, with a big chop saw and grinding wheel. But it really, those are kind of a noisy attack where it's going to draw attention. Most people, when they're trying to break into things, whether it be cables or padlocks or some inferior chain, they're going to use those bolt cutters that don't make as much noise and they can be quiet. This is going to stand that attack and just push them away. So I think chain is one of the biggest things that I would probably say. And the other thing, and this just came out not more than 2 years ago, I think, Lori, our key garages. In my extensive background working in shops, distributors, I've sold so many of those key boxes. There's the dial combo where it has the letters on it, or it's a push button on the exterior. We have our own version. We call them key garages, and they are super popular right now. A lot of the distributors are starting to pick up more and more of them as they come to find out that the value is there, and it's bigger internally. So a lot of the times on those smaller key boxes or key garages, you could only fit like 2 or 3 keys in there. I can fit huge car fobs in them, HID cards, those kind of things in them. To where a lot of other manufacturers that are out there, they don't have that capability or room inside. I actually sold a bunch to a locksmith that was by the ocean. And this is just fun fact, I guess you could say. But we all have the door handles on our car. So the surfers come in and they buy them. The surfers put their key fob in them and put them on their door handle of their car, so they don't got to take their key fobs out in the ocean and go surfing. They can just lock it up and be secure to their car door. And then when they get back, they put in their code, pull out their key fob, change out of their wetsuit, and then they're off on their way. So it's something, instead of that hide key that goes underneath the frame and those kind of things. So they're very versatile as well. So those are the 2 most underrated things that I would think that a lot of people don't buy that they should, just because the value and the security factor is there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And, we do stock the ABUS chain, and it is a pretty good seller.
I would say that the chain for me is the same. I was glad to hear Morgan say the chain, because I think it's an easy add-on, right? I mean, I think it's and especially for the locksmith who's already working with the locks, it's an easy add-on to pick that up. And Morgan's kind of not tooting his own horn here, but he has had huge success with selling these into schools as well. The education market, where they're having to lock up the outside of the gates at night, or they're having to, in some cases, I know my son is a high school math teacher, and they lock up the library doors with a chain and a padlock on it. So the education market is huge for that.
Awesome.
And that's another one of those things about the 83, getting back to that maybe a little bit, we have a collar that actually goes on the non-removable side of the padlock that holds our chain in place. So you don't get debris in it by you pull off a padlock off a gate and then it drags on the ground or gets thrown in the dirt, but it secures it to that chain itself. So it'll stay in place and make people remember to put the lock back in place and secure that opening again. So lots of things just developed around that 83 series in the chain, and we use them in everything. Our laminate locks, even the safety side of the business to lock up pump valves or big valves. We've all seen them. They put the chain through that, put a padlock on it just to secure those from being turned. This will withstand that force that somebody's going to put on that. Whereas some of the competitor stuff is just, it's really cheaply made and it's very easily defeated. And I go up against that all the time. So chain's a huge underrated product that we sell.
It's really awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Well, listen, thank you both so much for taking the time to come on here and chat with me for a little bit. And, we've already previously discussed that this next coming Tuesday, you are going to come on live with us.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited about that. And, we'll have a lot of fun. And for all of you watching or listening, get those questions ready and hop on live with us next Tuesday at 5:15 Pacific on YouTube, and we'll have some fun. So thank you both. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to next week going live.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks. We'll see you. All right, I tell you what, that was a great conversation with both Lori and Morgan. And I did not know that Abus, this massive global company, is family owned. Very cool. Now, make sure you tune in next Tuesday at 5:15 Pacific and ask Lori and Morgan. They're going to be on live with us. Any questions that you might have. So I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. I'm guessing if you just watched this video that you work with locks and keys. And to us here at CLK Supplies, that makes you a lock boss. And we want to hook you up. Here's how it works. Throughout the week, we post videos on YouTube, like the one you just watched. And all you need to do is comment on the videos and include the hashtag LockBoss. When you do this, you're automatically entered in to win one of 5 free prizes that we give out each and every week. No purchase necessary. So if you're a lock boss, join us each week to learn, grow, and win.